Ta-da!
My name is Joe, and I am ecstatic about nature.
The nurture of nature, the embracement of everything about it, from the climate to the texture of earth and the trees and the sun and the moon and the sky and the stars and ocean, and just everything. I was so fortunate, and I think all of those fabulous opportunities as a child brought to me this optimistic value in my life. And the way I believe in optimism is that there is no such thing as obstacles, but there are challenges, and challenges is what makes you feel so happy and full of vivre and energy and optimism.
I'm ecstatic. Ecstatica. Hey.
What I've learned over the years is that it's important to be realistic. You don't want to fall off that cliff or drown in that raging river. But it's also important to be optimistic. Come at life from optimism and to work with people that there's a chance we can succeed. In fact, we need to think that way, because if we're not optimistic, if we don't think that we can work this out, then we might just stay on the couch and not try. And in a world with so many possibilities, with so many things that could be done if only we would do them, optimism, I think, is a pretty important thing.
All individuals have the capacity to make themselves more intelligently optimistic. You don't have to just say, well, I'm a pessimistic person or I'm an optimistic person and I have to live with it. There are a lot of ways of developing the skill of seeing the bright side of life and making the best of it.
I think I was really concerned that I didn't know anyone like myself. I had lots of friends and lots of colleagues and lots of wonderful people in my life, but no one that I could relate to. So I created Spirit in Motion, and it was about the spirit being chained into a body that could not reach and interconnect others. And that was seen in my mind in Greys and Blacks. Meeting Charlie was just fantastic. He's autistic, just like me. I'm autistic. Our son Anthony is autistic, and we're an all autistic family. How wonderful is that? 4 years ago, we decided that the timing was right to produce our magazine, and at the same time to produce the International Naturally Autistic People Awards Convention and Festival. The realization that autistic people and people who are autistic with cerebral palsy and other such layers are human beings, and that was really what we wanted to promote. We were just so taken with the countries that got involved. What was remarkable, and what continues to be remarkable, is every country that presents to the International Naturally Autistic People Awards Convention and Festival are doing exactly what Charlie and I have been doing for the past 18 years. And it has now expanded itself to an exposé. So I now have the opportunity, rather, to choreograph in a way that I used to 25 years ago, bring in my professionalism of training that I had at the Royal Ballet and at Elmhurst, and pull it all together again, but on this really cultural scale now. And I just feel so blessed to take all of my life, all of my professional life, and all of my childhood, and play in this incredible way and bring something fruitful to society. And that really is the joy I have in dance. That's, for me, dance. That is the dance of life.
I grew up loving to hike in the forests. And I learned quite early on that the forests were endangered. Logging companies were logging down some of my favorite hiking trails. So I was amazed in the 1980s when I ran into an organization called the Wilderness Committee that advocated the protection of forests. And so I learned the basics of an environmental organization in BC, how to protest, how to hold picket signs, how to go out into the forest and take pictures both of the beautiful forest but also of the clear cuts of the kind of logging, how to deal with the media, how to get those pictures into the media, and finally, amazingly, how to see our elected officials make new laws or policies that ended up protecting the forests that I grew up loving. It was an amazing experience, those early days working for the Wilderness Committee. So this is almost the finished map. You just have to get the hatching off.
That's right, and do some labeling,
And we're
label
good to go.
various, and then we're good to go.
I haven't danced for 25 years. As I told you on the phone, we're going to be a permanent festival, convention, awards here. It's international. We have 14 countries so far, and we're hoping to have 19, and delegates coming from all around the world. This year, I see dance.
Oh,
right?
wonderful.
And your studio and the beautiful children, life and optimism, and you know that when you are in dance, of course, it's always that projection.
Yes.
And that's what we're about, and being ecstatic and happy. So the messaging for the autistic community in collaboration with Mainstream is exactly that. When we partner, it just has this incredible life to it. And,
Yes.
and it's really, really happy.
We got hundreds of tankers coming here, loading up on tar sands crude and heading for Asia and down into the States. So you've got the Spectre, well, basically, the way to stop an oil spill is don't allow a whole bunch more tankers to come.
Exactly.
basically.
And it's all for export, so.
So at the end of the night, what did the people think?
I think we had a really good reception. There were a lot of questions, and people came up and talked afterwards. Everyone was, we had our climate change petition and got a lot of signatures on that.
But tell me, we got a saying over here that says optimism is better than despair, and I think we all agree with that. What is the campaign you're working on right now that you are the most optimistic about, that even though it's a tough one, you know you're going to beat it? Which one is it?
I think it's endangered species.
Endangered.
It's one of my favorites, and I think that there's a lot of love for wildlife in this province, and if we can push hard enough to get our elected leaders to listen, then I think we can really do it.
I think you're right. I think we're going to get that legislation.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
Oh, well, we're going to do it again. My son was born and he was so beautiful. Just a beautiful body, beautiful eyes, just serene in every which way. And I thought, wow, this young little human being is going to have the most beautiful life. And let's do everything I can with my life experience to draw him out, to enable him to walk, enable him to speak. Play, love life. And so his life was, in the first few years, was much like mine. You want help? Yeah? We'll see where this goes, okay? And my focus was more on the emergence of the beauty, the essence of this fantastic little being who entrusted his spirit, his whole body to me, his mother. Good. And there. Well done. Bravo.
No picture.
Yeah. Okay, let's look. You try and help Charlie too, right? So we went through life this way, and then Anthony lost his independence. He developed and became the most fantastic human being in all ways, and was very proud of his abilities and his interests, his talents.
Did you write on that? Yes. I love mommy. I love mommy. I'm just going to read the card to you.
Okay, you want to read it to me? Okay, oh, that's beautiful. I love Molly. That's there. Merry Christmas, Molly. We lost everything overnight in a car accident.
You're remembering.
Prior to that, I lost my daughter as well through birth negligence. And I looked at that as, wow, this is a most beautiful, amazing moment. Even seeing my dead baby was a beautiful moment. When the nurse took the time to show me the placenta, to explain to me what others would not, it was beautiful.
People who are optimistic are less likely to develop depression, show better physical recovery. So their memory, their thinking also comes back faster if they're optimistic prior to their illness.
It's an emotional roller coaster. What drives me is a kind of anger that I think stems from seeing things that I know isn't in the public good. A kind of anger and a desire to defend the community that I love. And you often wonder, how can that be a pleasurable experience? Well, it's pleasurable because I know there's a chance that we can win, that we can accomplish something really good. I know that out of 30 years of activism. Certainly I've seen campaigns, bitter campaigns, sad campaigns that we've lost. But you know what? If we hadn't have fought them, we would have lost them anyway. And the ones that we fight, I've seen ones that we've won. We have amazing protected areas here in British Columbia, new laws, amazing things that have happened because people have decided to, in a peaceful way, use their democratic rights that we have here in Canada and fight back and win. And that's a source of great joy. It's a kind of hopeful traveling that every campaign I'm working on now with many others, there's a hope that we might win this one.
Contrast is everywhere, and that's where within that contrast lies beauty. Many, many people have said to me, you've been dealt the most awful cards, anyone could be dealt. And I said, actually, no, I've been dealt cards, and I've chosen to see the beauty in the cards I've been dealt with.
I mean, it's been quite a journey and unimaginable until it actually happened. It's been remarkable so far.
Like, we've worked really hard because we always believed. But now all of that's paid off, and
a big part of what the festival, the awards do, is that constant exposure to have someone, like Anthony, our son, in that position working. People do become accustomed to that, and it becomes normal. So later on, it becomes an expectation to see that, to see more of it. Our community begins to understand and accept we're all living together.
The grocery store, like up the street there in Gibson's, I know that with Tim, he can start with 2 hours and doing the shelving because he does do the laundry and the drying of the plates, like the desire, and he's working with the iPad and all these things. Just because things happen to his body doesn't mean he can't participate in community. And so that's the optimistic value I think that we can bring to community. And for me, I am thrilled. I'm thrilled because I always believed that Anthony would come back to actually do something in the community. Not that he hasn't ever, he's always been in community, but to have purpose in life. Yes, he employs people and all of that, but for him personally to have purpose,
absolutely,
where he goes to a job, a proper job, even if it starts at 2 hours a week. I'm so, to have been able to say this in the last week, it's like, wow. And then once again, Anthony demonstrates his own leadership.
I am extraordinarily lucky to be surrounded by a huge loving family.
I remember you every day. You're telling me, Christina, I cannot flip hamburgers anymore. I want to save the world. Okay.
Saving the world one tree at a time. That sums it all up.
Have you given some thought about sort of what general areas of life you guys would like to work in?
Maybe become an architect.
Architect like Steve?
Yeah.
What's your plans?
You'll be a stay-at-home son.
That's
Stay-at-home son.
scary.
I don't think that pays very well, son.
I don't know, maybe something into sports or something that deals
Yeah.
with people.
I love going into a forest where things could eat me. Because I happen to think that's an essential human experience. To walk through the forest like a deer. Because you listen better, you think better, you smell better, you are essentially human. And I love the fact that I live in a place where I can be so human.
Thank you so much for the introductions and the meetings and getting us in the newsletter. We're just feeling really optimistic about bringing this event to the Sunshine Coast.
To have our tourism industry work together with you to raise awareness on how tourists with different disabilities are treated when they come to the Sunshine Coast. And, you know, we can always do better, so this is a great opportunity.
You know, our community can appreciate businesses and what they do for people of difference, if you will, and vice versa, what our community can contribute. So it's a symbiotic process. It's very exciting. It really is.
That's right. When the Wilderness Committee got started, there was 5% of the province in parks. We're up to 14%, and we want 40% plus of the province protected.
That's right, yeah.
How close are we getting now with your map?
Have you seen our website, the BC Parks, BC Parks website?
I have,
Got
but
some Google Maps up.
oh, right on. You know what Philippines has done? Philippines has ended old growth logging.
That's right.
And that's another one of our goals, right?
another one.
Philippines has ended it. Thailand has stopped it. New Zealand doesn't log old growth anymore. We're still logging old growth. We want to end that. And as you know, your maps are a big part of that, right?
Right.
Because we can show the people where the old growth is. We can show the people where the new protected areas are.
Right.
that
All
we
the
want.
important areas that we want to protect.
So the maps are a big, big deal, along with the photographs of the beautiful wildlife and trees,
Yeah.
and the information.
That's right.
Maps, photos, info, new protected areas.
I don't think an autistic person ever has received anything of this type of recognition.
autism, I think.
And for autism. The Autistic Voice to British Columbia.
No, I think it's great that you're getting the award, and it's well deserved, and very proud of you.
I'm really still kind of, I guess I don't take these things very well.
Congratulations.
Oh,
In a place that allows you the freedom of faith, it also allows you the freedom to be an atheist. Having said that, I'm also really interested in the kinds of spiritual beliefs that are here where I live, that grow up from the very soil.
I think I lived in that essence place a lot as a child, and that was my spiritual place. And my parents were wonderful that way. They allowed me my space and my autonomy and just being. So I think I've always had that meditative state in my life because it was given to me in my upbringing. And my mother was Buddhist, and she lived by that state herself. She's from Thailand, so she lived by that Buddhist state, and my father was a Quaker, so he also had a sense, and I think that sensibility carried through into my life. And because I'm autistic, it's a very natural, very important part of being autistic is to have the opportunity to always spend time being in a oneness modality oneness with nature, oneness with the environment, oneness with the people.
I live in an urban area, but I consider myself extremely lucky to be able to live with public transit and all the great things that go with an urban area and still be able to walk out my door and be in this amazing landscape. Even though there's traffic and trains and SkyTrain lines surrounding this place, it still has space for salmon and eagles and herons and a million other things that live in this little space of nature. I love it.
I never thought of myself as being brilliant at anything. I just loved everything that I did. And I think there's a difference. When you love what you do and you see the essence of what you do and you feel it from your heart, there is a different synchronicity that's going on in your life.
We have some very big problems today to do with climate change and loss of habitat. Our oceans are in big trouble. But I know this, that every person who does something makes a difference, not only in what they do, but how people around them think. So in my lifetime, I've seen a tremendous progress being made here. Progress to make sure that there'll always be grizzly bears, wild salmon, mountain goats, 1,000-year-old trees. And I have to believe if that can happen, then maybe we'll always have tigers, and elephants, and lowland gorillas, and all the wonderful sea life that we have. Now, we all know they're under stress, but it's possible that we could hold on to them forever. It's possible.